Well, as all of you know, Tony Basilio is as wired to what's going on at the University of Tennessee as anybody. So as we bring him up here, my first question, Tony, is what have your last 3 or 4 days been like?
Oh man, I'm wired all right.
When
I'll
did
tell you
you?
one thing. I'll
Yeah,
tell you one thing,
go ahead.
George. This is. I got to fix my hat here, man. I'm all disheveled. I just took a nap in honor of this because I'm hosting some people at the baseball stadium tonight out on one of the porches. So I
How
got
do
to fit
we
my
move
man. I
you?
got to fit
We
my
got to
man
move.
Plaster into this. I'll tell you, George. This era of college football, till they put guardrails around this stuff, these people are not going to behave. They're not. And Nico's people they're just not serious people. I mean, and I people are like taking shots at Heupel. And look, I'm not afraid to criticize anybody. I mean, I never have. And when you're making the money these people are making, I mean, it is what it is. At the end of the day, what were they supposed to do? I mean, they didn't know they were getting involved with crazy. But that's the reality. The reality of this is that Tennessee got involved with crazy here. And it's not the kid's fault. The kid didn't do it. But I've done a couple of YouTube videos, George, over the weekend. And I'm starting to communicate that way when I'm off the air because it's just a quick way to do it. Because generally what I would do when the Vols are in crisis is I would get in the studio here and start taking calls, after hours.
Right.
And that would turn into like a 3-hour marathon. And so this little jumping on YouTube just for a few minutes. I mean, we had I don't know, 15 or 20,000 people view some YouTube video. I'm going what are we doing? But Tennessee over the weekend, the genesis of this is they found out maybe 3.5 weeks ago. I found out now a good 3 weeks ago through somebody that's on another staff in the SEC that used to be here, who said, "Hey, have you heard that Nico's father's shopping him around?" And I thought, no, I have not heard that. But nothing is surprising about Nico's father. The guy is literally nuttier than a fruitcake, okay? So anything's possible. Well, the story goes that the head coach at Oregon, Dan Lanning, picked the phone up and called Josh Heupel and said, "Hey, man, I just got a phone with a guy saying that he's Nico's representative and they're wanting to know if we'd entertain them transferring. They're wanting to leave you." And I believe Heupel in Tennessee said, "Okay, well, we're going to file that one away." And I think they've made a list, George. And I think they're visiting with quarterbacks. Not Heupel per se, because you have to have, you have to have a wall of separation. But I think over the weekend they visited with at least one quarterback that I know of, pretty much while the orange and white game was going on. This thing blew up on Friday. The kid told the quarterback's coach after going silent on him all day. Finally reached out and texted the quarterback's coach late Friday night. Tennessee already had a representative on the way to see a quarterback, a sitting starting quarterback in college football. And I think they're going to talk to a few others. So that is where we are. And the portal opens tomorrow, and you got about a week to get it done. And the thing you don't want to do if you're Tennessee is you don't want to do it too quickly, because then you look like you tampered with somebody for sure. So you want to kind of make it look good for TV, as we say in the trade. And the other thing is you want to get somebody quickly enough that your receivers don't transfer on you.
So, the second guessing is easy, but I'm going to play that game a little.
Mm-hmm.
Should Heupel have called in the father at some point and said, "Listen, I'm getting tired of your crap.
No, it wouldn't have helped.
Wow.
The father's nuts. I mean, think about this. The kid was going to play on a Southeastern Conference football team this year, team that made the playoffs last year, kind of in spite of his son. Okay, I mean, let's just call this what it is. And he made George, like $2.5 million last year playing football. Okay, and so he made $2.5 million last year playing football, and or something of that ilk, $2 million, whatever it is. And let's put it this way: better than local radio money. And
Yes,
and George,
I can confirm.
and George, they're looking around. I mean, what are you going to say to a guy like that?
Right. It's just greedy as all get out.
What's nutty? Yesterday on social media, when the North Carolina door slammed on them, you know how much Bill Belichick would put up with Nico's father? That would be not at all.
We have
when that report came out, I thought there's no way in the world that's going to happen.
We have a quote from Bill. We're on to Cincinnati.
Yeah, exactly. And so what's going to end up happening is today the Nakos guy from who had the initial report that became a real touch point in all this when it exploded Thursday night, he reported that they were trying to negotiate for more money. Tennessee told them Tuesday of last week, you're not getting another dime out of us. Your kid was a replacement level player last year. Now, they wouldn't say that to him. I would. Your son was an average college quarterback last year. I'm sorry. To use Kelly Holcomb's language, I'm sorry, Hoss. I didn't do it. And your son last year was a replacement level player. Your son's overrated. You're lucky you're making $2.3 million. And they tried their stunt back in December, and it didn't work then. Tennessee maybe gave him a little bit of a raise just to kind of keep everybody in the boat. And this guy goes out a few months later and is out there shopping him around the West Coast. And I got news for you. Oregon didn't want him. USC didn't want him. North Carolina didn't want him. Today, the Nakos guy said if he cuts his asking price to $1 million, there are several schools that will want to do business with him. He was going to make $2.4 million here. That's a little bit of a miscalculation from Pops there. Just a slight miscalculation. And here's the thing about the father. He's not a serious person. These are not serious people. Serious people do not behave this way. And I don't know if you're Tennessee, that class was the year they decided, hey, we're going to make a big splash. Arch Manning's the only guy left, and then the kid that transferred to Oregon. But Arch Manning's the only kid left from the top 10 that's at the same school he was at. I mean, it is a washout class, like a washout. So that's where we are. Tomorrow the portal opens. How long till Tennessee has a quarterback? My guess is they don't do anything tomorrow because then it looks like you've tampered.
Right.
Thursday, Friday, maybe Saturday. And the other thing I think that's happened here is I talked to somebody in the agent space is there will be people that'll reach out to Tennessee that maybe they didn't even anticipate reaching out to them, but they're probably going to get used for some raises, George. But when you have the stadium Tennessee has, you have the resources Tennessee has, you have the tradition they have. You played in the playoffs last year. You have a head coach that's got a very good modern offense where you can do some damage. I mean, that's a lot. And the last quarterback made $2.4 million. And George, these boosters don't get in this thing to get embarrassed like that, the way they got embarrassed over the weekend.
Yep.
That could easily grow to $4 million for the right person when these boosters get angry. They spend.
So I'm guessing you've heard the TJ Hushmanzada stuff.
Doesn't surprise me.
You've heard it.
Sure. Yeah.
What was your reaction? I mean, is this just a bunch of crap he threw out there, or is there anything about what he said that is remotely true?
Wide receivers live on parallel universes. That's where they live. Would be the way I'd reply to that. Let me tell you something. Why would you change your offense? Who gets the offense changed for him? For a replacement level quarterback? Who is this guy? Is he Aaron Rodgers? I might change my offense for Joe Burrow at LSU. For that Nico guy, who, I mean, literally, who looks like Ali G. I mean, you got to be kidding me.
Okay, we're off and running. Kelly, your witness.
Let me ask you this, Tony. What was it? You know, I get so this is what I get sick of. All this stuff is sickening to me. But when you hear about handlers, was it more of the dad, or was it handlers as well? Are the handlers telling the dad this, or is the dad saying, "I want to do this"?
No,
What's going on? Is it all dad?
The dad's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's what I was told by somebody in Tennessee's program. This spring, the kid had become a real leader and was getting more vocal around the team. And then, like 10 days, 2 weeks ago, the dad showed back up and the kid started to clam back up again.
Really?
The father is a very, 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 like a choking presence around this whole thing. Kind of like a big bully. Kind of like a big bully type. Yeah. Kelly, you've seen them in sports. You've seen these parents. And now that you're in an era where these kids are the breadwinners in the family,
it gets even worse.
Yeah, it's going to get even worse. And when that's your orientation, and that's how you're oriented, that's, we were talking about today on the air. It makes sense why Nico never looked like he affected football games, because he had this presence in his life that was affecting him so much. It's hard to bring that on the field when you have all that on you. Todd Marinovich talks about that in his 30 for 30. It's very hard to bring that on a field when you have that. It's hard enough to play these sports without that stuff weighing on you.
Do you think that they I feel like, and you just talked about it, you said if he lowers it to $1 million, which $1 million is still too much for me with all this stuff, but do you think he's got does his dad realize that he was making $4 million? Is that what he was making?
Yeah.
He's not going to, nobody wants that problem. And he has hurt his son in a way that I'm not sure that we'll know right off the bat, but we're going to find out pretty quick, because I don't know if anybody wants to deal with that.
He could ruin his kid's career. I mean, here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think the guy's got an NFL arm, but there's way more to playing in that league than throwing the ball hard.
Got to be accurate. He struggles.
And you got to really think.
Yep.
You got to be able to go to the line, and he showed no ability last year to make quick decisions. He just didn't. And and I'm not saying anything about that young man that I wouldn't say if he were still here. Now, the dad's a nut, and I didn't say that the whole time the dad was here, because I'm not going to do that. I mean, who's going to start that? But now that they've done this, which is just an unprecedented stunt. I mean, who does this? It's a borderline career suicide.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes no sense to do this. None. I mean,
zero.
when I say borderline career, like Kelly's saying, okay, well, Tennessee got involved with them, but what did they know? The next person knows. Buyer beware. But the dad was popping off last night on social media saying, hey, all you people out there saying that we're going to get $4 million at our next stop. Sure you are. Yeah, sure you are. Santa Claus is going to come through my chimney tonight, and he's bringing the Easter Bunny with him. I mean, what are you kidding me? You're not getting the two schools they're involved with, UCLA and Tulane. They couldn't get $4 million combined from those two teams. I mean, what
Tulane backed out. Billy said Tulane backed out.
There you go.
You know,
well,
so
and it was Knockos that apparently reported that, right, Billy?
Yep.
Say hello to Uncle Tony.
Hello, Tony.
Billy, how we doing? We need to talk again, man.
Let's do it.
Here we go again.
Resumes changing.
And I asked a guy this yesterday. How was this weighing on his teammates? Because his teammates have got to be looking at this and saying, "You got to be kidding me! You're making $2.4 million. You're the highest paid guy on the team. Like, what are we doing? Like, what? I mean, and the guy told us yesterday that, you know, teammates were ready to move on because they were getting angry about what was going on. And you say that he was going to be a leader. I've heard other things, but you know, what were his teammates thinking about all this? Because I promise you this: if they would have brought him back with all the trouble that's going on right now, that would be a mutiny against Josh Heupel. And you got to give it to Josh Heupel. I mean, I didn't know much about him, but at least he's taking a stand. And Nick Saban had something to say about it, I think, on Twitter today or something. But he wrote a post, and it was really good about how Josh Heupel stood up. And he's standing up against all this crap that's going on. And this is only the beginning, Tony. That, like, we talk about that all the time, but it's only the beginning of all this. And I just wonder what fans, like, it's got to be turning fans off every day.
It is, Kelly, but how do you say this? We love drama. And this is a male soap opera, you know, the sports space and the sports world that we're in. And Tennessee had a very sleepy spring here. George, in our appearances, how much spring football do we talk?
None.
It's been a very, very sleepy spring here. And then all of a sudden, the eve of the orange and white game, which is totally sleepy, which wasn't even going to be televised, which is just going to be a kind of a nothing burger, boom. And the original plan was they were going to go through the spring game and Sunday, clean their stuff out and go do something. That's what they originally planned on doing. They're very surprised today that there's no market for their son. No market. And one of the things that's exacerbated that is, because I didn't see the Tulane report, because I just, like I told you, I grabbed a nap. But one of the things that is in the background here is the word's out. The dad's nuts. Like, I'm not telling you he's half crazy. I think the kid is a good kid. I think the kid is a kid that tries. I think he worked hard. I don't know that he's got a real ability to process at the line of scrimmage. He seems a tick slow to me. He did not fit Tennessee's offense. He does not want to run with the ball. He's a very reluctant runner. He's not an athletic runner. He just didn't fit what they did. Maybe he makes a nice quarterback for somebody. Maybe he gets his career back on track. But boy, not good. And Tennessee is said to be involved. At least one report I've got here that's from a place called WTOL, which is in the footprint of the Big 12, saying that Tennessee's involved with 3 Big 12 quarterbacks right now: Avery Johnson, Rocco Becht, and Sawyer Robertson. And I can't tell you whether they are or aren't. I do know they met with a quarterback over the weekend. I do believe the quarterback was in the Big 12 because that's what I was told. And George, you'll love this. I asked my source, well, what was the name? And my source goes, I forget.
By the way,
George, have you ever been there? Have you ever been there where you got somebody gives you something and they go, I forget the name? And I said, hey, listen,
that doesn't
next time you forget the name, forget to call me. Okay.
So the Avery Johnson kid is from Kansas State, and I have seen him.
Yeah.
Got really long hair,
That's
and
him.
unbelievably talented.
Well, he's
Wow.
a wild stallion type athlete
Yes.
is what he is.
Absolutely.
Can run around. I'm not sure what he can throw. Watching him play last year, if we were having a snowball fight and I was choosing sides, he'd play for the other team because he'd hit his guys half as much as he'd hit me. But I will tell you this.
You better take me on that, Tony. You better take me.
Oh, you'd be my first pick, Kelly.
That's right, baby. Unless
Until you're
Peyton
about,
was there, and I'm
at
sure
least
you'd
till
pick
you're
Peyton.
at least
that
till you're
attitude?
75. At least till you're about 75.
Oh,
But
yeah, I can still hit a flea off a fly's tail, Hoss.
this Avery Johnson guy is a nice athlete. The Beck kid from Georgia Tech or from Iowa State,
Georgia.
rather, is a nice.
Oh, yeah.
Is a great competitor. Sawyer Robertson. I had somebody tell me over the weekend when I told them the league, and they thought that that's who Tennessee was involved with, and I'm not sure. I'm not sure if he fits what they do, but that's the other thing. If you're Tennessee, you're in a real conundrum right now. I don't know if you have to worry about who fits your league. You need somebody for 1 year that you can plug in. That you don't want to take the two young kids that played in the spring game. And the McIntyre kid, George, who who Watson has a close relationship with that family. I mean, that kid in his uniform, it looks like Manute Bol.
Yeah,
from
he's
back in
going
the
to need
day.
some weight room. He's a great kid.
Oh, he needs to gain about 75 pounds,
Yeah.
though. I mean, you put him on an SEC field, man, and I mean, they hit him hard one time, George, and they're cleaning him up with a dustpan and a brush. I mean, there'll be body parts everywhere. That poor kid is so thin. So, our fans over the weekend were telling me, "Oh, yes, just play with who you have." And I'm going, guys. I'm going, guys and gals. This is not a Disney movie. Southeastern Conference football is not a Disney movie. So,
Kelly, you got any more? I want to ask one more if you do not.
Well, I was going to ask, what are people saying? It seems like everybody's backing Josh Heupel right now. But George, and we talked about it yesterday, in this society and in this college sports atmosphere, everybody's behind him now. But if he gets somebody and he goes 6-6, they're not going to be behind him next year.
Well, I don't know, because you can always play the Nico screwed me card.
That's true.
And I do think that works. And you're a coach that's won 10 games in 4 years here, twice. But you're also a coach whose offense last year lost altitude. So it was going to be interesting whether Nico was here or not. I think this team was going to have a tough time getting back to the playoffs, because I just do. I think they lost too much. This certainly doesn't help things, but you never know. Maybe they come out of this thing with somebody that fits their deal better. And then how do you ramp them up between now and then? Let's say they get the Johnson kid. How would you ramp him up between now and then to where you could hit the ground running and have an opportunity against an SEC schedule? I'll tell you this. If that were to happen, the rest of college football will be cheering for Tennessee. They're wearing a white hat in this. What that family did to them, if you've noticed. Now, obviously, guys like TJ Hushmanzada and some of these wide receiver types, they're never going to be on the side of management or coaches. Those people, and Kelly will tell you that. That's wide receivers are just their own. They're in their own deal. I mean, they're in their own world. Man. They're what?
Prima donnas,
yeah,
man.
If anybody's going to say that's a good thing that a kid left a team, it's some crazy wide receiver like TJ Hushman. Am I lying, Kelly? I'm not lying, am I?
No, you're not, man. They always think they're open. They always want to fight you if you don't get them. But prima donnas, man. They always have been. But that's what makes some of them good, man. You got to have that confidence. But golly, dude, there was a guy I almost got in a fight with in a game, and then I threw the ball to him, and then it hit him in the stomach. It popped up in the air, and then it got intercepted. And I was like, "You keep talking to me about getting you the ball," and then we almost fought on the sideline.
Billy.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions or comments for your daddy?
Well, somebody had a good comment here. What about Sam Levitt at Arizona State?
See, I love this. I mean, let's have fun. How about him? The thing about this is why would somebody leave when they were starting quarterback somewhere? But you never know. Maybe somebody's mad at their coach. Maybe somebody doesn't like their offense. Maybe somebody looked at their offensive line and said, hey, I'm going to get hurt.
Or
Maybe Nico did all that. Maybe Nico's family
it's,
pushed this, you know? I don't know.
Or Tony, maybe it's, I would love to play in front of 100,000 with the level of passion that base has, because let's face it, Arizona State does not have that.
No,
Not
Iowa
to that
State,
level.
Arizona State, Kansas State, Baylor, none of those places are you going to get the buzz that you're going to get here. And you know what? In the Southeastern Conference, it just means more, as I say. And it, as Nico's family is finding out, it just pays more.
Wow. So we're using a new one.
Yeah.
Man, will this make for an interesting SEC football media day in Atlanta? But let's end it the way we always try to. There are people in Middle Tennessee watching this show right now that have never tuned you in Knoxville. I don't mean that as a knock, but there are probably some out there. How do they now find you when they say, man, when this guy's wide awake, this must be a hell of a show?
Yeah, tclub.team is how you find me. Again, tclub.team. And look, I mean, it's been great for our show because, George, I'm not afraid to say and report what I hear and what I've known. And my advantage in this deal is I don't have to worry about upsetting people. I'm not a rights holder. I mean, I've only been here 30 plus years doing my thing. And, you know, God willing, maybe I can put in another 20. And who knows? But it has been, I'll tell you this has been bizarre. For a place that majors in bizarre, Tennessee sports down through the years, I mean, this kind of takes the cake. This guy's nuts.
You want a comparison? This feels, for me, the most explosive issue that I've ever dealt with in sports talk radio was Vanderbilt's refusal to admit Ron Mercer almost 30, well, right at 30 years ago, a little more than 30. This one has some of that kind of feel to it where it's great for sports talk radio. I'm not going to lie, in a slower time of year, but it's a sad story. And I don't know if there's a mom in the middle of this, but she needs to get the dad the hell out of the zip code.
Yeah, I don't know the family dynamics. I do know this. I have a guy that's in here who's an athlete with me today, Will Heflin, who pitched at Tennessee. Will said, look, at some point, you're 20 years old. You got to say to your dad, let me live my life.
He's absolutely right.
And that is true. But you know what? In some cultures, if you say that, you know, you'll get the backhand across the chops. So, and I don't know where they are, but I just feel sorry for the kid. I really do. Now, I'm not going to root for his success because in sports, we're allowed to be spiteful and petty, and I'm pretty good at that. In life, we have to forgive, but in sports, I can root against you.
Hey, this has been terrific. Thank you as always.
Thank you.
Obviously have got Kelly's attention.
Hey, listen, I love Kelly, and I'm going to tell you something about Kelly. That man looks good today, buddy. Your hair looks good. You look good, Kelly.
Anniversary, dog. 30 years, man. I'm taking my wife out to eat.
I knew you had that special. You were glowing today, Kelly. You're
That's
glowing.
Right.
Congratulations, man. 30 years. That's beautiful.
Appreciate you, brother.
Hey, Tony,
see you guys.
What kind of life has she had?
A lot of crowns in heaven, George. That's what I say.
Oh, God. Here we go again.
See you
she
later.
She loves her some Kelly, Tony B.
See you.